And Ben, could you talk a little bit about your role and how you were doing roughs of what Brian was up to and how that, it seemed like you guys had a really interesting tag team going on and how that helped the editorial process? Because it's an unusual solution to it and it seems like a really good one.
Sure, yeah. What we were doing is while we were cutting the film, I was working with Cam, the editor, and for instance, the main title sequence was one of the last things that we did because we really didn't know how the intro was going to work out. We could have just as easily been white cards, white text on black screen or something like that. But Jake, the director, had come in and said, I got this idea for I really like the Mini and kind of like a Mr. Magoo kind of feel where this guy's like in his car and driving around and animated and so I was just kind of sitting there and I asked Brian, I said, hey Brian, just got on the phone with him, hey man, I need your color palette. Sends me the color palette. I just download some random photos of a Mini online and kind of orchestrate the color palette together. And then started to just put together some really, really rudimentary sequences where it was just kind of a little clip-arty car just jumping around on screen and then kind of going over a bridge that was literally just a cutout and then kind of some weird orange bars that looked like graphs, and started to throw in credits just to start to visualize it a little bit more. And then we would show it to Jake, and Jake was like, boom, that's what we're doing. And then I just shipped it off to Brian, and Brian's like, cool. Where's your car? I need your car. Let me get started on this thing. So it was really, really a fluid relationship. And I think that was something that in working with him really taught me a lot. My experience in graphics is just all self-taught. I wouldn't say I'm a finishing graphics artist by any means, more of a hobby. But it can really play a very helpful role in the process in that as you're going along, especially in a documentary, that relies a lot on statistical analysis or visuals to represent those statistics, you need to have something to start to get an idea of what's going to work. And all too often, what we were doing when we were trying to design these concepts is that we were just trying too much, that the ideas were too heavy, we were trying to put in too much information. But the really beneficial thing that we were able to convey is that in the temp graphic design, we were really able to illustrate the key, I'd call them bullet points, or kind of key moments throughout the graphic that in a lot of cases ended up sticking all the way through. So for instance, at the end of the main title sequence, one of the things that we were able to work out in the edit bay where Kim was saying, okay, so after, what you didn't see is that right after the main title sequence, we're going to go back to Robert Reich in a classroom doing a lecture in his classroom in Berkeley. So at the end of the graphic, the car parks and then you're in Berkeley and then it dissolves to a shot of Berkeley that's a practical shot, real life shot, and then from there we can cut straight into the lecture room. So that was something that we were able to kind of build and design in these temp graphics and then time everything out, kind of time out where all the placement of the titles were going to be so that when Brian got it, he had his timing laid out. We were able to anticipate shooting that shot in Berkeley that we would have needed. And so all those things really helped to play a role in putting it together.
Right, because that was a pickup shot that we had to go do where it did do that dissolve. So, that was something that was sort of graphically staged. And then we as a crew went back and got that still shot that we didn't have prior.
Just for the graphic sequence.
Right.
It worked.